All right. Hold up. Audio, I bet. Here, what's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? Back with another live stream, Just Chilling podcast. Didn't get to do it this past Tuesday, so doing it right now. Going to be a short, maybe an hour-long episode, talking NFL, talking Giants, talk anything you guys want to talk. Get in here, get in here. We got OGR in here as well. Look at him popping in right there. You are on OGR. How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? I actually wasn't anticipating coming in here. I was supposed to call UFC with my man TSR, and it just all of a sudden just did not work out. So I couldn't load the UFC event on my phone. So we had to drop the Skype call, and I was like, hey, I can come back. And he's like, well, once I'm going, I really can't add you in through Skype. I'm like, okay, whatever. You do what you want. This is why I hate using OBS to stream stuff. I'd rather use a program like this. Just easy, quick, get it done.
OBS is also like every now and again to be having weird glitches, and it's like I got to restart my computer just to get to work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So welcome in OGR. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Joe Yato, Edward Chan, Ligma, David AV. How y'all doing? So OGR, what you want to start off with, man? Obviously, I got the Giants picture up. But you know what? Let's talk about something that shouldn't affect Giants fans. But because of the way the fan base is right now, it does affect Giants fans. Did you see the news that was blowing up Twitter today about Trevor Lawrence 5 touchdowns and a half?
Yes, I did see that. And it was against Georgia Tech. And tell me the last time Georgia Tech was good.
Hey man, you tell the people out here. I know Ligma for sure was frothing out the mouth when he saw that.
And you know what? He's great in college. And when you have the best team in all of college and you're playing with 5-star athletes and you're as talented as Trevor Lawrence is, that's how good you should look. Mm-hmm. Now, put Trevor Lawrence on the current iteration of the New York Football Giants. First time NFL QB. I've seen Trevor Lawrence stare down his wide receivers. I've seen Trevor Lawrence force it into tight windows. I'm not telling you Trevor Lawrence won't be a good QB in the NFL, but most likely going to struggle. Going to struggle a little bit. And
real quick, just shout out to Mr. Icy and Kevin Cronin in the chat. Mr. Icy, Kid Blues, I don't know if he's coming on. I mean, he has the link available. But quick announcement for tomorrow. Since KB's work is starting back up, I'm pretty sure you guys all know he works for the post office. And, you know, around this time of the year, it gets really, really busy. He will not be able to come on for us to call the game tomorrow. So I'm actually going to have Pest the analyst. You guys know PTA from PTA Sports on tomorrow on the channel to call the game with. I'm not sure how it's going to go moving forward, but it's going to be very difficult to get KB on to call games with now on Sundays.
All right, so do let me know this. Because of that, we were going to have a surprise, guys. We were going to stream the Eagles game, if you recall, all four of us.
Mm-hmm.
Is that still an option, or are we just going to have
I'm still down to come on to you guys. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have to ask KB if he'll still be able to make Thursday. He told me Sundays are going to be almost impossible now, but I'll ask him about Thursday. But I'm still down to come on.
All right, if you're still down to come down, and I'll text KB, and hopefully he gets back to me. Yeah, we'll work it out.
David AV says, I want Trevor. He was
of course you do. Of course you do. Who doesn't? Hey, if you're a fan, if you're a team, and not even just the Giants, if you're a fan of a team and you need a quarterback, I want Trevor. Of course, he's the best. Why wouldn't you want him? That's just like easy.
Okay, you had a good point though, right? And I'm not saying that Trevor isn't going to be good in the NFL ladder. It's honestly 50-50. Dudes, he's going to struggle at least for the first season here if he comes onto this roster.
Oh yeah, he's going to struggle big time. He's going to get the shit beat out of him, and he's going to have the New York media questioning him. He's going to have fans that are instantly going to turn on him after
not his first year. OGR. Here's what's going to happen. He's going to come in. He's going to struggle. We're going to blame the coaching staff first. You know what I'm saying? The coaching staff is going to get eviscerated. They're going to get fired. Then next year we're going to start blaming Trevor. You know the year after next year. I mean,
did you listen to my rant yesterday? Because you sound a lot like me.
I did not. What was your rant saying?
So my rant was basically the future's bleak. If Giants fans want to sit there and be so, like, oh, we're Trevor, we're GM away. I said the future's bleak. A lot of people sit there and tell me, oh, this is the worst time in Giants history. No, it's not. The worst time was actually from 64 to 80, which the Giants compiled a record of 79 and 156. and they never made the playoffs once for 16 years. Do you think as a Giants fan, you could go through a stretch like that?
Me?
Yeah. Well, I'm asking that, and then I'm asking the chat as well.
I mean, honestly, I think I could. I didn't live through that, obviously, but from 2011 to now, it's been bad. Obviously, the past couple years has been really, really bad. But I think I can. I mean, honestly, I haven't seen the winning Giants season and being a very serious fan, and my fan and being a very serious fan other than 2016. So I'm like, I could live through it for sure.
And what I was telling you as Giants fans, I'm like, the future is bleak because just I spelled out the scenario you just said with Trevor Lawrence, and then I pointed out something else. I said, in 8 years, John Merritt and Steve Tisch, what have they shown you as ownership? The ability to hire and fire, get off, no continuity between GM and coach because you only get like a year or two to prove yourself. And then if you're going to continue that cycle going forward, which is clearly they're going to do because they're going to fire Dave Gettleman here and get a new GM, I said, the future's friggin' bleak. I don't care what players you get, who you bring in here. Future's bleak. If this cycle is going to keep going, I think we need a hard reset. And another person that nobody talks in Giants Nation at all, it's Chris Mara.
Yeah, I brought him up. I don't know if I brought him up on the stream with you or anything, but Chris Mara for like the past 10 years, essentially, the past however many years we've actually been having problems.
He was a VP of player personnel since 2011. Nobody talks about him.
Yep. I brought him up, and I was like, I don't think it's really a coincidence that since 2011 we've been struggling. He's been the VP of player personnel.
Edward, you brought this up in my comment section. I asked you point blank, do you think ownership is capable of hiring Ed Dodds? They're not going to sell the team because I know what you're going to say next. I don't even need you to look at chat. He
literally just said it.
So they're not going to sell a team. They've owned this team since 1925. Only the Tisches are, relatively new ownership, if you want to put it that way. So do you trust ownership to make that decision? Because if the answer is no, grab that big cup of misery that me and friggin' Hub been sipping. Well, too late now, buddy.
What happened? What's happening, OJ? You kind of stopped talking.
No. I'm dealing with stuff now. TSR wants me to hop in the stream. No worries.
Bradley says, "Does it matter though? Andrew Thomas can sit on any player in the NFL." And we'll get into that after this. The Andrew Thomas versus Chase Young matchup that a lot of people are anticipating. You guys, if you watch my preview video, that was actually my bold prediction. As you can see here, this is the thumbnail of my preview video. The two main guys there are Chase Young and Andrew Thomas, the men themselves, because I think they're gonna be matched up quite a bit tomorrow.
Yeah. So I basically had to turn down TSR here. He's probably pissed at me. He just texted me. I guess he restarted his stream and he's like, "Hey, come in." I'm like, "Hey, bro, like, you told me, hey, tough luck." And
Hey man, it happens, bro. It's life.
Yeah. So
you were saying, you were still talking about Ed Dodds and stuff before.
Yeah. So I'm like, do you trust Ed Dodds?
David AV says,
"You told me no live on stream."
What's happening?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just let me mute myself real quick.
So let me address the chat in the meanwhile. Edward Chan says, "None of our games are guaranteed." To be honest, I completely agree with you. I know that was the title of my that was the title of my video itself, that it is guaranteed that we're gonna win. The reason I said that, and you know what, I'm actually taking that back a little bit, because after that I made that video, after I finished editing it, after I recorded it, the Giants injury report low-key climbed up a bit. You know what I'm saying? We got Darius Slayton, who was a little bit more hobbled than it looked like before. Dexter Lawrence, who was a little bit more hobbled than it looked like before. And who was that? Kyler Fackrell. If I pull up the injury report right now, and actually, that might be a good idea. Maybe I'll share the screen with you guys. Giants injury report. We got a couple more people on here that I did not expect. All right, so literally everybody was still in limited practice. So I'm going to stop sharing screen for here, and I'm going to share the screen of the current Giants injury report real quick. So Chrome tab. Bam. If you guys can see that, let me know. This is the current injury report. This is from Friday's practice. This is worrying to me because Dexter Lawrence is questionable. The Jabril Peppers is questionable. I mean, Darius Slayton is questionable. We cannot miss those two guys. Like, so if they're out, if they're actually not gonna play, I'm gonna be very worried because those are two big pieces. David AV says Slayton and Dex will probably play. I don't need a probably. I need a guarantee that they're gonna play. And even if they do play, given the fact that they're limited practice now and they're still questionable, they're probably gonna be in there for limited snaps. So I'm very worried about that for sure.
I am too. Like, sorry about that. Like, odd situation. But anyways, no, I'm definitely worried about that too. I'm extremely concerned about the Giants. Front four, because one of my keys to victory was, hey, we got to stop the run. I mean, at the end of last, you think back to the Steelers game, you think back to the game last week, we did not stop the run at all. So those guys are key, especially Dex and whatchamacallit. But I mean, we still have Tomlinson, so I guess that's a good thing.
We still have Tomlinson, yeah. My thing is with Dex is that not only do we need the power on the run defense to help stop the run, we need all help in pass rush we can get. Now Dexter Lawrence ain't no number one pass rusher or anything, but we need some help. He could get up the middle somewhat. He's gonna be out now, especially considering that even Kyler Fackrell was in limited practice. Who we got out there as our edge rushers, Kyler and Marcus Golden. Kyler's already low-key injured, and we got nobody behind him. I know you're a big Carter Coughlin fan, but Carter Coughlin was injured up until like last week. How good is he going to be? I think Cam Brown is the other dude behind him. Kind of worried about the edge rush as well.
Yeah, I would be too.
So what you seeing for Carter Coughlin if he sees the field a little bit? Because Kyler Fackrell there's nothing here on the game.
The Giants themselves are actually hyping up Cam Brown more than Carter Coughlin.
Really? What are they saying?
It's just that Joe Judge has been praising Cam Brown and the way he's been practicing, the way he's been performing on special teams. And, he said he could be a $70 million player. I mean, a little tongue in cheek, but yeah, that's how much they've been hyping him up.
Cam Brown is probably our smallest edge rusher too in terms of weight, if I'm not wrong, because he's a pretty skinny dude. Ligma says we are 5-0 in moral wins. What you got to say to this, Ben?
Damn right. Moral wins is all you have to hold on to as Giants fans. Because like I said, the future's not much brighter there, buddy.
Oh, man. David A.V. says they will all play. I'm not worried about Dex, but we need Slayton. Oh, yeah, you're right. We need Slayton. We're still running into this game with 4 wide receivers, which I don't like. OJ, let me get your thoughts on that. Why? This is the third game now that we're going in with just 4 wide receivers.
Actually, it feels like we've had 4 wide receivers the whole season. Never mind.
It feels like it. Yeah, I agree with you.
But I don't know. To me, that's ridiculous. You're one injury away from.
I mean, Darius Slayton right here is the proof.
Maybe Evan Ingram can like slide into a slot and you can push other guys to the outside, but like I don't know, man. It's just a little to me. It's just a little ridiculous. I think it's an oversight by Joe Judge or maybe our senior VP of player personnel, Chris Mara.
I'm gonna. As much as I want to put it on Chris Mara, this is something I've been putting on Judge in terms of roster management because it seems like those extra spots that could be used towards a wide receiver are being used towards the special teams type of players that we have on the field. But this right here is the worst case scenario right now. Darius Slayton is questionable. If he's out, is it even legal for us to roll into the game with just 3 wide receivers? I don't know.
It is legal as long as you have 53 people. I mean, as long as you have 53 men to start on Sunday, you're good to go. So,
Joe Yaddo says, is it continuity we need or a rebuild? This team has shown me more this year than last year. Garrett needs to open receivers, not run 8-yard curl routes for everyone. What's your response to that?
Thing is, regardless of what you want, it's going to end up in a whole new rebuild, one way or another. I mean, the one thing, if you're a Giants fan, you better hope this team catches fire down the stretch and we finish like 6-10 or 5-11. I think even Dave Gettleman still gets fired for how bad we started, but then that gives you a little confidence going into next season. But if we don't pull that off and we have 4 or less wins, this sparks a rebuild because Dave Gettleman's gone and I want John Mara to clean house. I said this yesterday. I don't think Joe Judge is long to be the Giants head coach. Not because I don't love Joe Judge. I think he's going to be a good head coach. I think he'll be a successful head coach in the NFL. And not because I don't love Daniel Jones. I love Daniel Jones as well. I just don't think he's going to get the opportunity with the Giants. And because he's just not going to have the pieces around him. So to me, I want a hard reset because I think that's the only way you get where you want to go. Because with this current iteration, what we have, we've never set a foundation at all. There's no sign of foundation. And if you don't have a foundation, you can't build a house. Therefore, you can't build a playoff roster.
I agree with you. The one thing I hope that does happen as we go down for the rest of the season here is I hope that we win some games. Otherwise, I completely agree. It's going to be basically another rebuild, and that's going to be God knows how many more years if we get it right. You know what I'm saying? Gelman's, in my opinion, is definitely gone no matter what. But if we win 4 or less games, like you say, not only is Gelman gone, but then they want to strip everything. They want to strip the varnish off of everything. We're probably getting rid of a lot of players and selling again, which makes no sense to me, but that's probably what's going to happen. So I really do hope that we somehow catch fire and go like 6-10, which I don't know if it's possible because you're starting off 0-5. God knows how hard it is to pull yourself out of an 0-5 hole, but I hope it happens for the sake of continuity. Bradley says we can literally play Thomas at any position. I mean, OGR, let's keep it real. Andrew Thomas, number 1 wide receiver, man. You saw him catch that pass in the end zone last week.
No, he's a little too big for wide receiver. Number 1 tight end on this team.
Number 1 tight end, even ahead of your boy Caden Smith.
Of course, man. I mean, the guy already knows how to block, and I mean, he's got to be better than Evan Ingram. He's going to be able to box out. He doesn't have the speed to really get away, but I mean, is anybody really going to be stopping him on those curl routes that whatchamacallit really wants to run? I mean,
he definitely has a bigger wingspan than Evan Ingram.
Exactly. So,
and unlike Evan Ingram, he's 100% on his receptions and catches. He don't drop anything.
Exactly. And that route, nobody was covering him. Very underrated weapon. Let's go.
Exactly. Edward Chan says, okay, I still don't understand why everyone hates Garrett. So far, the O-line can't hold blocks, running back production is minimal, wide receivers can't get separation, and QB isn't playing well. What does he have to work with? So this is my thing. I don't hate Garrett. So far, I'm not impressed with what I've seen. And my thing with Garrett has always been one thing's out there. The wide receivers can't get separation. I understand the O-line can't block. Who knows? Maybe that has something to do with the scheme and he needs to adjust it a little bit. I understand running back production is minimal. Obviously, is the direct correlation to the O-line. Wide receivers can't get separation. Part of that is to Garrett because he's not trying to call plays to seam them open. It seems like every single pass play that the Giants call is always a curl route or a stop route or, some type of short route. It just seems like he's not calling what he can call. Edward does say the offense is simplistic because we can't develop the run game. I do agree with you on that, but I feel like he could be doing a bit more. I mean, this guy he's the most experienced coach we have on this roster. What about you on Jason Garrett?
To me, I'm not as fed up with Jason Garrett as other things. I mean, I kind of called him out last week on the Dallas game because I just wanted to see a little bit more variety, which he gave me. My problem with Garrett is Garrett should be Sherman. And Daniel Jones, regardless if you want to blame just Daniel, has regressed. This is why you don't move off of your other head coach. Like, I like Jason Garrett, but to me, we shouldn't be in this predicament, is what I'm saying.
Shout out to NYG31 and Nerding on Sports and Logan's Gaming in the chat. Welcome in, guys. Logan, no problem for being late, bro. Thank you for tuning in here. NYG31 says Andrew Thomas needs to play better against Chase Young tomorrow. All right, so we need to get into this anyway. What are you looking forward to in the Andrew Thomas versus Chase Young matchup?
It's not going to be a lot of Andrew Thomas versus Chase Young. It's going to be a lot of Andrew Thomas between Montez Sweat. If he does get his chance against Chase Young, I want him to dominate Chase Young like he did in college. Mm-hmm. One of my keys to victory was, hey, this offensive line needs to, step up.
Are you telling me Cam Fleming's going to be matched up against Chase Young tomorrow?
Yes.
That's a recipe.
And Ryan Kerrigan.
That's a recipe for disaster right there. Because listen, Montez Sweat, I know Montez Sweat been all right in the NFL so far. It's his second year. I have 100% confidence that Andrew Thomas can handle Montez Sweat. What about you?
Montez Sweat's a good pass rusher.
He's good, but I think if Thomas can handle Young, he can handle Montez Sweat.
Yeah, but that's college, bro. College and the NFL are two different things. I think people have to understand. Don't forget, Chase Young, now granted he's missed some time with the groin injury, he has 1.5 sacks. Mm-hmm. He's not exactly blowing it up. So I know people are really fearing Chase Young, but there's plenty of guys on that defensive line is good, and we've got to show a propensity. And the problem is, I think the Dallas Cowboys kind of showed the blueprint to beat the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Toward the end of that game, they were bringing a lot of pressure up the A gap, B gap, just constantly up the middle.
Doesn't it remind you of what the Steelers did to us in Week 1?
Yeah. I could see the Washington football team has the talent to do that to us, and arguably worse than what the Cowboys did, even though we scored 34.
Mm-hmm.
So I am concerned about that.
That's the main thing I'm concerned about. I agree with Bradley and Ligma. They're both saying start Parrott. I would love to start
Parrott where?
Right tackle.
Okay. Some people have asked to start Parrott at left tackle and move.
Yeah, I know. Some people are saying move Ed Thomas to right tackle. I don't even know if you want to get into that. That's one of the more
that's absurd.
That's one of the craziest ideas I've ever heard, and not in a good way.
And now everybody's on the. If we don't get Trevor Lawrence bandwagon, if we don't get number 1 pick, so that means we won't get Trevor Lawrence. Everybody's on the Sewell bandwagon now as well. If we get like 2nd or 3rd pick.
What happened to we're already on the train of just letting quarterbacks develop. Now we're just like, nah, don't even let rookies develop. Don't even let rookies have their rookie year.
Dude, that's how frustrated Giants fans are, and they just really can't handle it. That's why I said in my rant video the other day, everything is a complete and overreaction. And we just, as fans, we got to get back to fundamentals of rooting for our team. Social media has made being a Giants fan, especially on YouTube, extremely toxic. Like, no lie. And I appreciate everybody in the chat. And, a lot of these guys here, just everything's in good fun. But, man, some of these guys out here, man, just, take to being a Giants fan, I don't know, a little more seriously than you should. That's what I'm
I agree with you, but yeah, I agree. Chat, I agree with y'all right now on the thing of starting Parrott at right tackle. I want to start Parrott right tackle. Honestly, I want to start him last week. I'm just double checking right here. Yeah, Cam Fleming is still ahead of him on the depth chart. I would love to see Parrott out there, but honestly, I don't know if this is the best game to start him because of what OGR said. This was one of the most, if not the most talented, defensive lines we're going up against right now. Granted, that's possibly the only thing that Washington got on their defense, but it's the
Eagles aren't any better. Like, the Eagles next week aren't any better. Like, that's not the game to start him. I think you see Pert start after a bye week.
I think it would be better than the Eagles, of course, because in terms of edge,
who do we play after the Eagles? Do you know?
The Bucks. Which
that is the better game to start him.
You see, I don't have a problem starting him against the Eagles
because you have a Thursday night game.
Yeah,
so Cam Fleming is going to start, barring injury. So Cam Fleming will start this week and next week. Now you have Thursday till next. We play the Bucks on Monday Night Football, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Thursday till Monday before the Giants play again. So yeah.
Listen, the reason I'm comfortable with starting him next week is because the Eagles' pass rush is good. Edge wise, it's okay. It's average. I think it would be good to get him out there on a Thursday. I don't know. But hey, either way, I did say Matt Pert, you're not going to see this guy until at the very least like halfway through the season. That's what it looks like is going to happen. Nerding Out Sports says, some fans are overreacting for a rebuilding team. I get it. We want to see wins, but we need patience. I think both me and LGR can agree with you there, man.
Honestly, you have to show a rebuilding team. Right now, Giants fans expect this team to be in the second stage of a rebuild. Basically, the first shitty season's out of the way. Here's the second season where you show more improvement. Giants fans were expecting playoffs next year. They see a giant step backwards between the last 8 years. Yes, they're overreacting, and I'd love to be on the Rome wasn't built in a day. The Giants, that's why the Giants after this season, if it continues on this track, have to hit a total reset button. And that's included, John, if you're listening, because I know you tune into Hub's live streams. Chris Mara no longer should be VP of player personnel.
I can't believe he's had his job for this long. It's literally, it ain't no coincidence. Since 2011,
Dude,
he's been VP.
I didn't even realize there was an article asking John Mara if he was going to put Chris as GM. And by the way, don't rule that out.
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon?
So go back when Jerry Reese is about to be fired with Ben McAdoo. There were articles linking Chris Mara to being the GM of the New York Football Giants.
Nah.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying that's what John Mara's going to do.
Yo, I hate nepotism so much.
But it's a real possibility with as dysfunctional as we are. And Steve Tisch and John Mara saying, hey, we need to be more involved. No, you need to be less involved. They wanted to be more involved, and that's what they said in the last offseason. Either Kevin Abrams or Chris Mara could be our next GM.
We need somebody from the outside. I mean, like a legitimate outside. Gelman wasn't.
We need Ed Dodd, according to Edward Chan.
I don't know who Ed Dodds is. All right, so I'm gonna continue real quick. We need somebody legitimately from the outside. People say Gelman was from the outside. In a way, yes, but he's been connected to the Giants organization since the 90s. We need somebody completely new from the outside. That's never been connected from the organization before. Because right now, in that the Giants front office and stuff, we got a bunch of people that think the same. You need a different thinker out there. I don't know who it is. Who is Ed Dodds? Tell me about him, because I've been seeing his name everywhere.
I know. I think a lot of people are getting the Ed Dodds name because I think it's one of the guys that Mike Too Nice talked about, because he laid out 6 possible GM prospects.
I have no idea who he is, but
Ed Dodds is a Colts GM. Do you mean player personnel?
Because you're not gonna. He made them. I don't know.
If Ed Dodds is the GM of the Colts are going to let Ed Dodds go to the New York Football Giants. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. You're most likely going to get a personnel director from another team. Is the most common position that guys jump, or a possible VP that's like a real star up and coming.
Mm-hmm. Bradley says, can't wait to see Andrew Thomas pull a Josh Allen on Young. He better be ready to say bye-bye to the camper fam. I mean, I hope. Since OGR brought up they might be Montez Sweat more so. I think they're gonna definitely match him up a couple of times, but you're right. We're probably gonna get Montez Sweat a lot. And then also, I'm not sure what's up with Chase Young and his groin injury, if he's even gonna be playing that many snaps tomorrow.
I think he will. I think he's fully healthy. I think last week was kind of the questionable week for him.
Nerding Out Sports says, if we want to see any service change, we need an outside hire, someone that will work with the Judge, Mara, and Tisch. Need to stay out of the roster building. Yeah, Mara and Tisch need to just stay out of the building in general, man.
Here's the problem, though. I love your attitude, nerding. And in a perfect world, I'd love that scenario. The next GM has a scapegoat. His name is Joe Judge. Just saying. There's a scenario where I see the Giants hiring a new GM, putting out a roster, and then firing Joe Judge next season. There's a scenario I see that. What makes you think that the Giants will give Joe Judge all this length of time?
The only thing that's my hope, and I know I'm kind of grasping at straws here as to why they won't fire Judge, is because aren't they still paying Shermer, because they fired Shermer early on his contract? So are they going to really be paying 2 coaches that they fired the rest of their contracts because they fired them early? That's the only hope I'm grasping at right now.
Well, what you need to understand about Chris Mara, he's a big time into horse racing. So obviously he's got to be big time into horse betting. So he's a betting man. So yeah, it's possible.
Stupid finances, but I mean, hey, we've seen a lot of stupid from the Giants front office, man. Joe Yaddo says, I can't see a blow-up rebuild. Shermer on the book for the... Oh, yeah, this is exactly what he's saying. Shermer on the book for the next 2 years. Judge signed a 5-year deal. Who will coach a team with that kind of turnover or GM? Yeah, you got to think about that.
That's what I've been saying. I've been saying all this. I was saying this last year. Nobody wanted to listen. I'm glad you're bringing up these points now, though, Drew.
David A.V. says what nobody is talking about, not getting it back to the football on the field, is Wayne Gallman will be good this week. What do you think about that? What are you expecting from Wayne Gallman tomorrow?
More of the same, unfortunately, and that means not enough carries.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think he's been getting just enough carries, because the reason he's been, like, for the past 2 weeks, he's been basically that slasher back, getting nice chunk yardage off of the defense when he comes in. I think it's because he has fresh legs. We're like pounding Devontae Freeman into the rock as the more consistent running back. And then we bring in Gallman as that slasher. And I think it's I think so far it's pretty good. Maybe it could be better, but what do you think?
The thing is, Devontae Freeman, if you look at it, if you really want to dive into the analytics, the average yards expected, and again, it's analytics, it's a tool in the toolbox. He's below the number that he should be. His vision's terrible. There's a reason why he's still, out there. I like Devontae. He's shown me some flashes. It's time to give Wayne Gallman the shot he deserves. And
listen, here's my rebuttal to that. And like you said, it's in the toolbox. We watched the games. We know that Devontae is an okay running back there, and he's doing really the best he can. I think he's consistent enough. I think he's like He's like averaging 3.3 yards a carry or something. When he's on the field, it looks like he does better than that. When you watch the game, he's consistently getting you 3 to 4 yards.
Yeah, it feels like he is, but stats say otherwise. So
now, come on, OGR. We've been on here for a long time. You really going to rely just on stats?
No, I'm not. I'm an eye test guy, even though I probably don't have the greatest eye in the world. I mean, look at these glasses. But, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Nerding Out Sports with another choice here. He says Nick Caserio would be my choice. Just for the I don't know who that is. Just for the familiarity with Judge.
So Nick Caserio is the current director, I believe, of player personnel for the Patriots because Bill Belichick's the GM. A lot of people give Nick Caserio a lot of credit for a lot of decision-making there. I do not. I think that's just smoke up people's ASSs, and I'm not impressed by Nick at all. I want to stay away from the Patriots organization. I understand why he wants Nick, familiarity with Joe Judge. He'll be more patient with Joe Judge, and they'll try and build things here. I don't want Nick at all. And again, I want a complete and hard reset. Even though I know that means firing Joe Judge, even though I don't want to. I know it sounds a little crazy, but
there was a lot of I knows and devil's advocate in there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kenny Joseph in the chat. He says Freeman looks great. Freeman is elusive every time he has the ball, and in open space he makes a guy miss. Like I said, I think he's okay. I wouldn't say great, but considering what we've had before in the season, I guess you could call it that. But I think he's been okay.
Kenny Joseph, here's one play I remember, and I believe it was from the Rams game. We were down in the red zone, and Andrew Thomas blocks the guy outside. Freeman's got a big hole, comes off the left side. Andrew Thomas swings outside, hits the block. What Devontae Freeman should have done is go out to the left-hand shoulder of Andrew Thomas since he was turning the blocker inside. No, what he did was he went to the inside and got cut short. If he goes out the outside, that's a touchdown. That's one play, and I've seen a couple others where he just doesn't see it.
Playing devil's advocate, for every play you could bring up, somebody else could bring up every play that Devontae gets really good yardage on where it looks to be nothing. For example, right off the top of my head, the first run that he had against Dallas should have been stopped short behind the line of scrimmage, but he got 9 yards on it because
you could be. But, again, I'm not sitting there just simply pointing to the analytics. Again, I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here. Yeah. Average yards expected is below where he should be.
So how many carries do you want Wayne Gallman to have then this week?
10.
He's been getting what? He's been getting between 5 and 10, right? 5?
5. About 5. I want him to get at least 10. I have the same thing. I want the Giants to have an even split between pass and run, or actually probably more run than pass. And I want to see Daniel Jones not throw the ball more than 25 times right now.
This is a good one, David Avey. What do you guys know about David Mayo this week? He's finally coming off of IR now, and we finally don't have, Devontae Downs starting next to Blake Martinez, and not to talk bad about the homie Tay Crowder, because Crowder's been okay, but we're finally getting David Mayo back. What do you think about this?
Tay Crowder actually has been impressing me. The aggressiveness. The problem with Devontae Downs, he just wasn't aggressive, and Blake Martinez couldn't be aggressive himself. That's why Blake Martinez, he said it when he was playing with the Packers, not to go into a little bit of rant here, that he was there as a safety net. He couldn't play aggressive. He couldn't diagnose.
GR, I just want to say, I've been saying that since we signed him, before Blake Martinez came out and said that when everybody was hating on the signing.
Yeah. And, it's going to be nice to have 2 downhill linebackers between him and David. But let's not rush David back. I think David's going to get a chance to get in there. I think Devontae Downs all but falls to simply special teams, and you're going to see a rotation of Tay Crowder and David Mayo.
I was gonna say I don't even think that we should start David Mayo this tomorrow. I think we should still start Tay Crowder and then have David Mayo come in a couple rotationary plays, ease him back into it because he's just coming off of the injury right now.
I concur, my friend.
Water King Anonymous, he says, Hub the legend, and then the old man. Hey, put some respect on OGR's name, but thank you.
Hey, if you think 36 is old, my friend, man, you got a lot of learning to do there, buddy.
Ligman says, Hub, if I lose this week, I'm trading. Oh, he's talking about fantasy now. The top players, because I'll be 1-5. I'll trade you Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders, DK Metcalf for nothing, so I get the W in fantasy. Ligma, you can't give up on both the Giants and your own fantasy team that easy, my guy.
I mean, I'm just saying that I'm 4-1 in the Giants Creator League. Just saying.
What am I? I think I'm like 3-2 now, or maybe I am around 4-1 as well.
I mean, you did beat me, but it is what it is. I got you next time around.
Sure you do, man. Sure you do. What about Dion Lewis? We've been talking about Freeman, and we've been talking about Wayne Gallman. Is Dion Lewis just completely shifted out now?
I think he is. It's just Devontae's a good pass catcher, and Gallman's a decent pass catcher. Like, besides maybe a random third down here or there, what are you really using for Dion Lewis for? Like, I haven't even been impressed on the screens that he's caught. Like, he's done nothing. Like, at this point, I don't know, trade him for a bag of Fritos. I'd rather enjoy the Fritos than watch Dion Lewis.
So in this case, since we're running 4 wide receivers tomorrow, and one of them in Darius Slayton, who's possibly the main one, is still a bit knocked up, do you have Dion Lewis out there in a couple of plays in the slot?
They were doing that last week. They were shifting even Devontae Freeman out and then motioning him back in. So yeah, you could do something like that. But to me, I'd rather just cut. I mean, you're not obviously going to do this the day before a game, but I'd rather just cut Dion Lewis outright and bring up another one of these wide receivers like Derek Dillon, like Benjamin Victor.
Like Bradley has been saying in the chat a couple times, like he says, use Derek Dillon as a distraction to get the defenses downfield and let Jones throw the slant. And even a couple times, once they stop biting on that distraction, he's going to be open. Out of Benjamin Victor and Derek Dillon, and I love Benjamin Victor. OGR knows this for like months now. I would prefer to bring up Derek Dillon just because of the down the field threat. What about you?
Thing you have to execute on the downfield stuff, though.
I prefer to bring up as that distraction. He would be the 5th wide receiver if he comes up.
Yeah, but all right, distraction. And Daniel Jones is sacked and another fumble. Like, so I understand what he's trying to say. It's just, I don't know if it's gonna work because, I mean, Derek Dillon to see if he can get separation, man. Honestly, I hear what the kid's saying.
What do you expect from Austin Mack? Actually, Austin Mack is now officially on the roster. He's obviously going to be in the game tomorrow. And because of what's happening with Slayton, he's going to get a lot more targets than he was before.
What I want to see out of Austin Mack is that reliable go-to weapon that Daniel Jones can rely on. That's what I want.
Basically what Slayton was last year.
No, not even what Slayton is that, because Slayton is our down the field threat. That is a distraction. I'm not expecting a ton out of Austin Mack. I'm expecting maybe 5 catches for less than 50 yards. But I want that guy that Daniel Jones feels comfortable throwing to. Everybody has that wideout. And I'm thinking just the makeup of Austin Mack. I'm not saying that Austin Mack's going to be that, but just you think about Austin Mack, you think of reliable route running, a guy that is able to get open because of his route running, which doesn't seem like we have a lot of guys able to do that. And just that safety net of sure-handedness that Austin Mack has. I don't know if he'll develop into that, but that's what I'd like.
I just want to say, it sounds kind of like you're describing Golden Tate.
It kind of sounds like I'm describing Cooper Kupp in a way as well. Another guy that...
another guy...
That wasn't supposed to be fast, but guess what? Reliable, always there for Jared Goff, and that's what I'm hoping Austin Mack can be.
I mean, if we could have a Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp type duo out of Darius Slayton and Austin Mack, sign me up.
I mean, think about it. To me, Darius Slayton is Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp is Austin Mack. I'm not telling you that because I know a lot of people think that not to mention another channel thinks that I call him Victor Austin Mack Cruz. But he's not. He's not going to be that. But I hope he can develop into that.
Edward, no, I am not drafting in fantasy. That might be OGR. Bradley says, surprised he went undrafted. He was really good at OSU. He was, but Ohio
Production
State
wasn't there. Production
weapon.
wasn't there. The production wasn't there for the reason that you were going to mention.
Yeah, there's just way too many wide receivers over at OSU. Nerding Out Sports says, and what do you think about this, OGR? I've been saying Mac reminds him of Steve Smith from 2007 to 2010.
I think Austin Mack's a little bit bigger than Steve Smith. Steve Smith, I believe, was like 5'10". Austin Mack's, what, 6'2"? So he's a little bit bigger of a guy.
And that's something. Austin Mack is actually our second tallest receiver on the roster right now. So for those of you that want to height, there you go. Who's our tallest, by the way?
Benjamin Victor. I think he's Benjamin's 6'4".
Well, on the active roster.
On the active, I think him and Darius Slayton are tied.
Isn't CJ Board a bit tall? Let me check. CJ Board might be a bit taller than we think right now. He is... Nah, he's 6'2" as well. We just got a bunch of 6'2" guys on here.
Here's the other thing. Why do we even still have CJ Board? Like, we're legit trying to find a number 2 now, what Golden Tate's supposed to be. And Sterling Shepard's not back yet. Why the hell have we not given Benjamin Victor and or Derek Dillon a chance?
I think
it's got to be better than Board. They've got to be better than Ratley.
Okay, I'm not going to say that because they're definitely better than Ratley, but that's the thing. I don't know if they're better than Board. Maybe that's exactly why. Because Ratley, they cut straight out once they're just like,
if you go by camp, Alex Bachman is a guy that should be out there. You know what I'm saying?
And if you go by camp, I actually brought this up a couple of times. The dudes who performed in camp are not doing so good in the regular season right now. Devontae Downs, who earned his job in camp, ain't doing so good. You talk about Evan Ingram, who had a really good camp, ain't doing so good. I was about to say
he's kind of picked it up from where he was last
yeah. Weeks, Nick Gates, also who did good in camp, ain't doing so good. So it's like the guys who did good in camp
Nick Gates
don't seem to be translating.
I'm giving Nick Gates a pass. You know, he's just
does my point still not stand though? The guy who did good in camp, they're not translating.
No, your opponents are what you're saying is right, but what I'm saying is Nick Gates has improved though. Like Devontae Downs has not improved, and then the other guys that you've mentioned have not really improved it either.
Shout out to Talking Sports with Muzz in the chat. Just like us and Nerding Out Sports, he has a channel as well. You guys can go check that out. Now, do you want to talk about something real quick, OGR? Let's talk about players that legitimately we might have to trade away.
Evan Ingram.
We could start off with him. I had somebody else in mind, but let's start off with Evan Ingram.
Leonard Williams.
This man.
No, Evan Ingram. Getting whatever I can get for him. Bye.
Just straight up.
Just straight up gone. Like you're not going to re-sign him. Makes no sense to re-sign him. And buy Evan Ingram. You've got to. You know that you're going to be. You need all the draft capital you can get. So buy Evan Ingram. Buy Leonard Williams.
I wouldn't say Leonard Williams because it's going to be between Williams and Tomlinson, and I would try and get rid of Tomlinson instead of
right
Williams.
Now. Leonard is hobbled, and Tomlinson has played better the last couple weeks, where Leonard Williams has disappeared. And you're going by current value. And so it's either going to be Dalvin Tomlinson or Leonard Williams. You're not going to keep both those guys. So you're going to only re-sign one. And the guy that I'd rather re-sign is Dalvin Tomlinson.
Are you getting rid of Kevin Zeitler?
Yes. Giving Shane Lemieux the shot.
Do you have confidence in him, though?
Doesn't matter if I have confidence in him or not. We need to see what our young players have because we need to be able to show the next GM, whoever that may be, because if we lose this game to the Redskins, Dave Gettleman is all but gone, and that GM search begins.
I'll say this. I disagree with you on your last point there, specifically for the offensive line. I think with the offensive line, we just need to put out the best one there is out there, and currently Kevin Zeitler is way better than Shane Lemieux, so I would not get rid of him.
I don't want to either, but you need to see what you have in Shane Lemieux, and you're not re-signing Shane Lemieux. I don't think
you need to see what you have in Shane Lemieux. He's a fifth round pick.
But again, if I'm coming at this as not the Giants. I'm assuming Giants are going to lose this game. I think Giants are going to win this game. But if the Giants continue to lose more games down the road, at what point do you say we're moving off of Dave Gettleman and then seeing what we have? This is what the GM's going to want. Especially because you're going to hire one. Because don't forget, Dave Gettleman was hired after Jerry Reese was fired. Week 13 or 14? He was in the air the last couple weeks of the season.
No, Dave Gettleman was hired in the offseason.
But I don't think he was.
I'll look that up right now. I'm like 99% sure he was hired in the offseason.
It might have been just after we went to the offseason and whatnot. I could have swore he was here for like week 15 or 16 or 17. I could be wrong, though.
Let's see. So this article is dated. Oh my god, I gotta scroll all the way up. This article is dated December 28th, so that's after week 16, is it not? When he was hired. So yeah, they hired him literally as the season ended, so he was not in there for any games. They waited until the offseason.
Yeah, so they did. But I think this is going to be one. Because the only reason I say that is just because you see so many firings mid-season now. Because you can pretty much, if there's a director of player personnel you really want, you have free reign at that point to go interview whoever you want and make a hire during the season.
The next thing I'm going to bring up, I actually kind of came up with on Wednesday. Because if we re-sign Logan Ryan long-term, then he, in my opinion, is our starting free safety for the next 3-4 years. Shift Xavier over to strong safety. Peppers, trading him. What do you think?
Oh, he's gone. Yeah, you have to at that point. The problem is you don't have depth. You don't have depth at there anymore, especially if
you'd have Julian Love over there. You still got Nate Ebner.
Yeah, but
still got Adrian Colbert.
Like, I don't mind Adrian Colbert. He's backup free safety at that point to Logan Ryan. But as Logan Ryan, to me, it seems like they've been placing Logan Ryan all over the field and not strictly at free safety. And Adrian Colbert has been strictly at free safety. That's the problem.
You're right. They have. That's what I'm bringing up is that do we trade Jabril Peppers? And if we do, that would be my proposition as the replacement. But what is even the possibility of us trading Peppers?
Right now, he's probably our best trade piece, if you look at it.
If he could stay on the field, that is. He's still on the injury report.
Yeah, if he has the next couple of games, I expect Jabril to be gone. I think he can have a big impact on other teams. Not the fact that anything you're going to trade away. I don't expect to get it. I don't expect to be loaded with draft picks. I expect to be loaded with maybe a couple, a 4 here, a 5 here, and a bunch of 6s and 7s, to be totally honest with you.
And it's sad because I don't want Peppers gone. I would want to keep Peppers. I hope we do, and I hope there's a way to work around it. But the sad reality is we're probably not gonna keep him. Edward Chan, I agree with you. He's literally the Ingram on the defense. So much potential, but can't stay healthy. And Bradley, like I said, I don't want to do it, but it just might happen. Let's see here now. What was another player I was thinking about? I think I kind of just about covered it on players on the defensive side. Nerding On says, I think Peppers is good to go tomorrow. Let me go back to the injury report here.
Oh, he came in last week, so I imagine he'd be good to go tomorrow.
You said Peppers?
Yeah, Peppers came in last week. He played in that game last week, right?
Yeah, and then he showed up back on the injury report again this week.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Bradley says, I want 2 first-round picks so we can drop the top 3 wide receiver. Listen, I'll see where the team is at the end of the season, but as of right now, obviously, I think our 2 biggest needs would be wide receiver, edge rusher. Which do you value more?
Edge rusher.
Is there any edge rusher coming out of college right now that you have your eye on?
Brock something or another from Miami.
Is he worth a top 5 pick, which is what the Giants are projected right now?
He's been projected on Walter Football and a multitude of sites going in top 5.
Okay.
Actually, let me bring up Walter Football. You know what? Check out that site, by the way, if you've never done it.
No, I use it all the time when I make my draft videos.
Yeah, so I really like Walter's site, but we'll go look at it. Even if it's Charlie Campbell, I don't mind him.
So what's your eye test? And since you do be watching college football because of Penn State on this Brock dude.
He didn't look bad. He had a real athletic play against Trevor Lawrence, but he dropped the interception. Trevor Lawrence was throwing to the outside, but the dude actually lined up in the neutral zone. But he dropped back in coverage, got over to where the wide receiver was going to be, almost made the interception and turned over. Almost got turnover, but unfortunately Miami lined up in the neutral zone for that play, so it was gave Clemson a second chance.
Is he number 1 edge rusher material, you think?
So far, I mean, the way he's being mocked, so I mean, remain to be seen. I can't break down the film or anything for you right now, but yeah, I would say so if he's being mocked that high. The other guy I wouldn't mind because I want another solid playmaker next to Blake Martinez is Micah Parsons out of Penn State.
I would because he's the one guy I've been hearing about a lot at that middle linebacker position. I would love to get him next to Blake Martinez.
I'm trying to bring up.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up Walter Football here as well. Defensive, is he a defensive end or outside linebacker?
Defensive end, but I think he's small enough to play offside linebacker.
So if we go here, they have Gregory Rousseau ranked number 1.
Yes, that is Gregory Rousseau.
What do you think about Gregory Rousseau?
That's the guy I've been talking about.
Oh, you said Brock something.
I meant to say Greg. Sorry. I don't know why I came up with Brock.
But yeah, Gregory Rousseau, 6'6", 260. That size, NFL comparison-wise, for anybody in the chat, I think Montez Sweat is around 6'6", 260 if you're looking for what his size would be. Let's see here. This is what Walter Football has to say on the guy. Rousseau is one of the best edge defenders in college football during 2019, despite being a redshirt freshman. He collected 15.5 sacks with 2 forced fumbles and 54 tackles on the year. Rousseau has an excellent skill set with upside to develop, but his growth could be slowed down by his decision to opt out the 2020 season. There is no substitute for experience in a year of refining pass rushing moves, getting off blocks, taking on double teams, and improving technique. Thus, Rousseau will enter the NFL as a one-year wonder who could require more developmental time. He might be a top 10 pick in the 2021 draft, but he will be more raw and underdeveloped compared to the other recent high first-round defensive ends like Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett, Bradley Chubb, and the Bosa brothers. So I did not know that. He apparently is not even playing this season.
Yeah, he's not playing. I totally screwed up. I've got my players mixed up. And there's honestly, he's literally right now the only edge rusher mocked, period. Like there's other guys that are mocked here, but I don't, it seems like they're more.
It's not a strong edge rushing class.
No, it's definitely not. The only other guy I could say is the guy from Wake Forest, but again, they list him as defensive end, defensive tackle. So,
Jesus, man, this is because I would definitely not be a top 5 pick. I don't think I'm taking a chance on, as Walter Football describes him, a one-year wonder because he didn't even play this year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So here's the good. So he's mocking this dude to the Jaguars. So the Jaguars had a top defense in the NFL 3 years ago. Now the unit's a mere shell of its former self. He's here to replace Calais Campbell. Carlos Basham always stuffed the run well, but his pass rushing improved tremendously. 2018. So I mean, we're looking at like a replacement. we don't need a Calais Campbell. We have plenty of those.
Yeah. I mean, so at that point, I'd probably look at middle linebacker or wide receiver.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see. Obviously, guys are going to rise up through the ranks, and somebody's going to come, out of the top 40 right now to bust into the top 10, and he's going to be the next Khalil Mack. You know that. I mean, by the time this happens.
Shout out to Nikki in the chat. She says hub OGR heart emoji, and then all of the members only emojis. Bradley says the worst move the NFL made was letting Andrew Thomas slip to us at 4. I agree.
But actually, no, there was an edge rusher Brock. I was talking about the kid in Miami, Brock, like he was Gregory Rousseau. Gregory Rousseau, is the best edge rusher, like we've already gone through over. But obviously, he opted out of the season, like you've said already. So I just wanted to clear that up because I was just kind of talking out my ass, basically, or at least it sounds that way.
Nerding Out says Parsons or Dylan Moses would be great. What do you know about Dylan Moses? I'm assuming
I don't know much about Dylan Moses. I know more about Parsons, obviously. I've watched Parsons. Parsons is an absolute beast. Parsons, in his freshman year, led the team in tackles. And what's really impressive is he did that as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he's a starter now, I'm assuming. How's he doing so far this season?
Oh, Penn State hasn't played, and he opted out of the season.
Okay, then. So that's another thing. How many years has Michael Parsons played? 1 or 2?
2. This is his junior year.
Okay, and so at least we got a little bit more on him. I'm going to read off what Walter Football has on Dylan Moses. They actually have him ranked right behind Parsons. They say Alabama has been a factory for linebacker talent, and Moses will keep that tradition alive. He can provide it. He can stay healthy. Team sources were really excited about seeing him in 2019, but a torn ACL in training camp ended his season before it started. They think that if Moses entered the 2020 draft, he would have still been an early rounder despite the injury. They were impressed with his performance in 2018, where he recorded 86 tackles, 10 for loss, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 1 batted pass, rotating with other linebackers.
Yeah.
And then what about Patrick Surtain? That's another name I've heard a lot about.
I've not heard.
So I think he's a cornerback, and I think he's like the #1 ranked cornerback in the class. Let me check real quick.
My thing that blows my mind is why is everybody in love with Trey Lance?
No,
Why?
no. If you're looking at Ligma, he's trolling. I think he's joking because of the fact that he might be thinking.
No. But even joking or not, I know Ligma trolls, but people are legit in love with Trey Lance. Like Mike Too Nice is legit at Trey Lance, and my first inklings about Trey Lance, I say Colin Kaepernick.
I don't even know who Trey Lance is, so I can't even speak on him.
When do you get a time? Check out Trey Lance, and if you don't come back to me with the comparison of Colin Kaepernick, I'll be shocked.
What school does he play for?
He plays for the Bison.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, he's
Carson
on the same college that Carson Wentz went to.
Yeah,
I think maybe that has something to do with it.
North Dakota State.
I think that has something to do with it. Maybe people are kind of blinded by the Carson Wentz history at North Dakota State.
Yeah, but he's not even the same type of player. Carson Wentz is a better thrower. Trey Lance has some excellent legs, but he's not even the same athlete as Lamar Jackson. Like, he's fast and he can get away from guys. I see a Colin Kaepernick-esque player. People are just looking at to me, I think people are more mesmerized by the athletes at quarterback than actual people that can play quarterback.
I mean, if we think about recent years, that kind of makes sense. The athletes / the experimental guys versus the more quarterback guys. It's been the athletes and experimental guys in the past recent drafts that have worked out. You look at Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, then obviously the next year afterwards, Lamar Jackson, and now apparently Josh Allen.
But then
like last year, Kyler Murray, right? Playing devil's advocate. Those are the positions that are like kind of going up right now.
Those teams, besides Kyler Murray, which you really can't argue, those teams had shit in place to build around these guys. You know what I'm saying?
Not the Bills. Not until the Bills made moves to build around him, but they were trash when they got him.
Yeah, they were trash when they got him, but they made moves to build around him. What have we done for Daniel? Like, so
wait, how did this conversation shift back to Daniel? We're just talking general NFL right now, right? That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. And it's just like, regardless, whatever the quarterback is, let's say the Giants do take a quarterback and they do take Trey Lance, you've got to build around the kid. What makes you think they're going to do it if they're taking him number 1 overall? What do you think? They're trading back in and grabbing Jamar Chase? Like,
well, I agree with you there completely. To get back to the general NFL convo of you asked why people so in love with them, is because they've built around the normal quarterbacks as well, and they haven't worked out as well early on as it has with the athletic dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like the Bears, they did build around Mr. Trubisky. He's just trash, and thus the more athletic guys in his class than Mahomes and Deshaun, who hasn't even been built around, has had.
Mitch is just as good an athlete as Mahomes. He just doesn't have the arm talent Mahomes has.
I don't know. I think Mahomes is a bit more of an athlete.
Mahomes is just a better all-around thrower and a better decision maker.
Yeah,
Trubisky. I think Mitch Trubisky is actually the better athlete. Have you seen Mitch run?
All right, and so then between athlete, speaking directly as an athlete, between Mitch and Deshaun, who's better?
Oh, Deshaun, absolutely Deshaun.
There you go. And Deshaun hasn't even been built around, and everybody knows he's the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ligman says Asante Samuel Jr. is underrated. Check him out. What position is he? Does he play cornerback as well? Let's see. Asante Samuel Jr. Didn't Asante Samuel gift us that 2007 Super Bowl?
Yes, he did.
I don't see him anywhere here, Ligman. You're gonna need to tell me what position he plays. Oh, it is cornerback. He's listed at the 12th overall cornerback by Walter Football here.
Read Leonard Gray's comment.
Let me see. Leonard Gray says, if we lose to Washington, we need to cut Danny Dimes. You know what? Let's talk about that real quick. I'm going to end the stream, after we finish this up. I'm still on the Daniel Jones train. I wanted to do to succeed, but he has to, and I mean has to do something tomorrow. What do you think, man? What are your thoughts?
Of course he has to do something tomorrow. Can't turn the ball over, and he has to lead this team to victory. Can he? Well, that's the question.
I mean, the only solace I got is the man's best game last year was against Washington, that last game that we played. So if he could replicate that, I'll be happy.
So 5 touchdowns?
Yeah. I'll be happy if he can, but I don't know if he will.
All right, my man, then. Let's go.
So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in, man. That's going to be the stream. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Mike Lowe, who I just noticed. My bad, Mike. Ligma, Joel Yato, Edward Chan, Leonard Gray, Bradley, Nikki, thank you all for tuning in.